Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hafa Adai Tirow. Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and today we're talking about Hafa Adai Tirow because we are here with the president of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce in this half of the show, Joe Guerrero, talking about the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge program. Joe, thanks for making time for us today.
Sizus Masi, Alumway, Catherine, Hafa Adai Tirow. Excited to be here and explain a little bit about the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge program that you'll be hearing more of in the media and more importantly the opportunity to partake in the program, whether it be an individual, an organization, both public and private. Everyone will be welcome to partake in this important program.
What is this program all about?
So this program is about promoting and nurturing our culture. Displaying our culture, the finest things about our culture, whether it be language, arts, other traditions, food. There's many things that the Marianas is unique to the Marianas, but it's always been a challenge for one reason or another for the indigenous people to display their culture for visitors, as well as for the younger generation who may not be as exposed to some of the things of the past that make us unique. And
I think it's important to say that this program is for everybody who calls the Marianas home, who feels the Marianas in their heart, who wants to embrace the spirit of these islands with the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge. How did this program come about?
A good question. I was newly installed the president of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, and one of the things that I asked myself is, what can I do that maybe none of the past presidents or the past leaders of the chamber have done? And promoting language and culture has always been near and dear to my heart. And I thought, what better platform than to use the Chamber of Commerce and its 140 plus members to launch this program. But then it's just more about businesses and chamber members. I thought, hey, I want to do this for the community. Even if I wasn't the president of the chamber, I would donate my time and effort into this important project.
Why is the promotion of your culture so important to you?
It's important to me, having lived out in the U.S. mainland for 11 plus years. When I was there, I always felt that I needed to explain who I was and where I was from. And then moving back to the Sinamai and seeing the growth in tourism was great. But there's always this disconnect where I feel there was a disconnect where tourists really don't feel the Chamorro and Carolinian culture as they should when they go to Hawaii, for example, or Bali or the Philippines. You really know you're in the Philippines, or you really feel and hear that you're in Bali or Hawaii. And so I thought that we need to do this for ourselves. There's a big push with the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors, for example, to really make our destination as unique as possible. And it's been noted already that we really need to better display our indigenous cultures. And so I hope that this program would be the start of a long-term program. This is not a short-term, quick fix. Guam has had their Hafa Adai Pledge for 12 years. Over 900 organizations, both public and private educational institutions, have partaken into their own Hafa Adai Pledge, and it's very successful. If you visited Guam lately, you hear Chamorro music played at Kmart and the airport and in restaurants around the island. There's a big push to really display the culture.
A little bit later on in the show, we're going to talk with the Marianas Visitors Authority about how this pledge relates to tourism. But, you mentioned that tourists don't often get an opportunity or don't have enough opportunities to experience local culture. But honestly, even people who live here don't have that opportunity if they're not part of those cultures already. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree. And I was a kid growing up here in the early 80s, and we lived the culture, the island way of life before we had a lot of tourists. And then there was a period of time where many people in my peers, we sort of migrated to Western ways, and maybe sometimes even a shame of our culture, right? We wanted to be Americanized or Westernized. But now there's a little reversal, and this is happening in many places around the world, where it's kind of going back to your roots. What makes you unique? We're very globally connected, but it's very important as a people anywhere, including the Marianas, to really hold on to their identity, and from there build yourself as a people and protect what matters to them. And so culture is definitely one of them. The culture, of course, with our Chamorros and Carolinians, is tied to the land and the sea, and which leads to your question about the logo. So we came up with the logo of the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge logo, and it includes the Moor, Sacman, the ocean, the sea, the 32 navigational stars, and the navigational rope that goes around the border of the logo. So all of these elements of the Marianas was incorporated into the logo, and so it's very meaningful, and I hope that sort of sets the stage, that people find meaning in wanting to hold on and promote your culture.
Now, I know a lot of thought has gone into really developing all the parts of this program and how it's going to work, and I know you'll be rolling that out in more detail in the coming weeks, but start us off with some of the visions and goals, and practically, how is this pledge program going to work?
Okay, so very simply, the first thing we can implement in this program is to greet people. Greet people with Hafa Adai when they enter your establishment or your business, when you're on the phone. Let's move away from good morning or using dear so-and-so when you're writing an email. I've personally dropped that even with communicating with stateside business associates of mine, and it piques their interest when I start my email with Hafa Adai, and they'll remember that. Makes an impression on that. So these are the simple things that we can do. Everybody can do it without even taking the pledge. Start greeting people with Hafa Adai and Tirow in email, in everyday life. For businesses, for example, the business that I run, Naked Fish Bar and Grill, we must greet everyone with a Hafa Adai or Tirow when they come and when they leave as well. We always answer the phone with Hafa Adai or Tirow. There are other businesses that are doing it already without the pledge, and some of them will be one of our first adopters of the pledge in the coming weeks. Other things that we can do is dedicate time to teach your employees about the Marianas. Hotels, for example, all their staff should take a history class and learn more about the culture, so that when tourists and guests ask, they can be educated and explain what this means and what that means. Many companies already do it. They display Marianas art in their business establishments, and so this pledge will basically offer a platform for companies to commit to doing certain things and doing more. And what I hope the program does, or it's going to be designed to really provide free consulting services to any business or organization that will want to incorporate the Hafa Adai and Tirow spirit in their organizations.
And we do want to emphasize that this is voluntary. It's not being mandated by the government. It's just really something to unite us all in celebrating who we are as a people.
Yes.
What do you feel this program will mean for our community in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? How do you hope the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge program will benefit us?
I think it would go a long way in building a pride as a people, and good pride where we can, even amongst our many differences, whether it be political or other ideologies, at the end of the day, we're all Marianas residents. Of course, we have people that have adopted the Marianas and would like to be adopted by Chamorros and Carolinians. But at the end of the day, in 10, 15, 20 years from now, I hope people will look at this program and it'll be almost second nature. It's like, how did we ever go about without this, with our culture prevalent in everything we do? Everything that is tied to the Marianas will showcase our culture.
When I think of culture, yes, we do think about the dances, the attire, the arts and craft, but I am most interested in the values. What do you feel are the values of the Chamorro and Carolinian people?
Good question. As a rural community, of course, an island community, our culture is based on helping each other, trusting each other when problems arise. The inafamaulik way of life, where there will be conflicts in any society, but we need to find ways to encourage goodwill, unity, reconciliation, before suing each other, for example, in court, right? In the Western court.
I mean, that's the way we traditionally did it. Was we try to resolve our problems.
Yes.
Before they got too big.
Yes. And in fact, I spoke with some of the Carolinian Affairs Office and said that there was a move before to create a council. It's almost like an elder council that goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years in the Carolinian community, where if there was any conflict among, they would go to a council. This was before the modern court system that we have now, and that council would basically decide what the fate of the subjects, if you will, or the people that have conflicts. The values are rooted in this program, in that to encourage everybody to take care of one another, take care of our land. There's also a environmental aspect of this program because we are culturally tied to our land. It's all we have in some ways, and so the program will encourage people to participate in beach cleanups and adopt the beach programs, in recycling. And so there are many aspects to this program, and we'll be explaining more and educating the public as we go along.
I remember reading your speech in the newspaper when you became the president of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, and you had a vision for tourism, and obviously this is part of it. Is there anything else you'd like to share about what you hope the direction of tourism will be under your leadership and moving forward?
Sure. And this is a shared vision. This is not unique to me, but I wanted to push it as best I can, is to really create a higher end tourism market. We have very limited land, just with any island, and resources, and it's not sustainable to have, let's say, 1 million tourists on the ground. It has eroded our beaches and our resources over the years, and so the push or the aim is to have less tourists but higher spending tourists, so that at the end of the day we still collect the right amount of taxes to help fund our services to our residents and to tourists as well. And so what higher tourism means is creating, again, a unique destination. High-end tourists, it's been studied, when they go to these destinations, they want something unique. When you go to Greece, you want something unique to Greece. When you come to the Marianas, you want, to feel the Marianas. If they feel that they're just in any Western U.S. territory, that's not good enough for them, and they're not going to come back. And so it's really a good tie-in to the vision of some folks within the tourism industry to create a high-end tourism. And so this plays perfectly with that vision.
Well, we've been chatting this half of the show with Joe Guerrero, president of the Saipan Chamber of Commerce. Joe, any final thoughts before we go?
No, just look out for Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge information, which we'll be disseminating in the coming weeks and months. And feel free to reach out to the Saipan Chamber of Commerce or the Marianas Visitors Authority for more information, and we'll be happy to explain it and invite you to take the pledge.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're talking about the Hafa Adai and Tirow Pledge program, and we'll be back with more after this break.
Hafa Adai, Pago na Sakan, ta celebra imena 30 años Disti ana Managua, Northern Marianas Humanities Council. In Northern Marianas Humanities Council, manazutuda gi comunidad para u abiba ilinala todo tauto Marianas. Tat kumia zudu gi man ilo information den tilingu put Marianas, I azudu gi mafatinas leblus an ottuna documentu, I azudu siha ginini exhibitioni differentes na programanya siha, zan hanagwagwaha conversacion gi entuli tauto Marianas. In kumbibida hamzu todo para indanyai I Humanities Council di actividad siha ni managwagwaha pago na saktan. Pues maila za tafana abisita, tafana iliye gesti siha na actividad za ta celebrahi. Sizus maasil.
Tirowomi, lalrahiel, ngebulasyon Northern Marianas Humanities Council, rihimaseg rebayora emmasegi la shushu, biha a elich rech, Yarayora Bulastoye Humanities Council. Bulastoyel, Nyalisir Tola Prerewe Amuri Alangal Masmasal Malwer Lan Marianas. Ewewe Shakutul, Nerafatal Meta, Metamalierarmas, Alangal Mahutukutul Lal Sab, Merongrong Tola. Ayatarwahami, Bobo Fiti Shulapia Akamesharahami. Bobo Tabwe Metaya Afshia Tutelal. Lalrahye 2021. Aketetengah Babuwari Hamimeye. Hiliso.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. We're talking about the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge program, and in this half of the show, we're taking a slightly different look at it with the Marianas Visitors Authority, and it's my pleasure to have with us the Managing Director of MVA, Priscilla and Iakopo. Priscilla, thanks for making time for us today.
Hafa Adai Tirow Cat.
So tell us, how did MVA become involved with the Chamber on this project, and how does this pledge program relate to tourism?
Yes, so we met with the President, Joe Guerrero from Saipan Chamber of Commerce, and he brought up the idea of having MVA partner up in creating this Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge. What I do know in the past is that the MVA had actually had a Hafa Adai Spirit program, and so it relates to each other, but this time we would really like to incorporate the pledge part as part of this program, and the reason why is because we would like to have public, private, or even individuals take ownership and pledge and be part of this Hafa Adai Tirow program.
I mean, that's a great idea. It's one thing to say, that's a good idea, and it's another thing to say, and I pledge to support it.
Yes, because when you pledge, you're committing to something, right? And this is what we want. We want everybody to be committed.
So tourists nowadays, they're looking for more than just the sea and the sun and the surf, which we have a really great sea, sun, and surf here. But what are tourists nowadays looking for in terms of experiences when they go to a destination like the Marianas?
Right, so tourists, look for an authentic experience. I'm not sure about you, Kat, but for me, if I were to go on a vacation, right, I would really like to really experience what that island or country has to offer. So I would like to look for the best food, the best local entertainment, where can I buy local arts and crafts, something for me to bring home to remember that I visited this wonderful place. And so this is what tourists are looking for in the Marianas, is to have that experience. And we know when on a Sunday, we go out to the beach, the locals mostly go out to the beach, and then you see tourists come by. They're very curious, right? They're very curious to stop by and find out, what is going on. And so in my experience, I've had tourists come and, they just want to sit down with us and just feel how life is in the Marianas.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's really unique and beautiful, but also challenging about our destination is we have so many cultural influences from, of course, the indigenous culture, but then we have a lot of Spanish influence from from colonization, and German and Japanese. And I think when visitors come here from other places, sometimes if they don't have a clear understanding of our history, they kind of have a hard time figuring out what we are.
Yes.
I don't. So, what are your thoughts on what this program will mean in helping tourists really know what is at the root of the Marianas?
Yes. So, Kat, it starts off, when they enter the CNMI, right? And what we would really like is to have, the airport play our local music, greet our tourists with Hafa Adai or Tirow, rather than using the English word of hello, welcome to the CNMI, And so this is what we wanted to do, is to incorporate and really dive in all of our tourism stakeholders. Whenever you answer the phone, it would be like Hafa Adai Tirow, this is, and then you state your company, or you play your music, or you have local cuisines, being offered at your establishments. So that way the tourists are able to feel that, wow, I'm really somewhere else. You know what I mean? That I'm really at the Marianas. I'm not, in their own home country where, saying hello is kind of like the standard, right?
Mm-hmm. I like the example you give of offering food, because, oh my goodness, food is so much a part of I think all of the cultures here in the Marianas, that being able to offer something at your business, a little pizzeria or something like that.
Yes.
What would you recommend for a food that tourists must try if they really want to taste the Marianas? What would you recommend they have?
Kat, I cannot pick just one. I love the kadun pika. I love the chicken kelaguen with titizas. I love the pigigi, the roschetti. I could go on and name. And of course, for every meal or even a snack, you would want to have the doni, right? That's some spice that a lot of our locals, enjoy. And so I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you or give you just one favorite. I love everything. Even red rice. Look, I'm already going.
Okay, stop there. Well, it is time for lunch, so I guess, yeah. But what are the other types of, I understand there's different types of pledges that people can take with different kinds of activities. You mentioned the language a little bit.
Yes.
You mentioned the food. What are some other types of pledges that people can take?
Yes, they could also incorporate arts, whether it's displaying any local arts and craft, whether it would just be either the mar or, a picture of our indigenous people. So those are the things that, we would like to have anyone who would like to take part in the art category. And even just having to wear, island wear, right? That's something that, shows that you are displaying the culture.
Is there going to be a certain day? I know in the past it used to be Fridays was a day where everybody wore their muer or their island print. Is that something that's part of the program?
Yes. So for Tuesdays, we call it Hafa Adai Tuesdays, and that's where you can wear a flower on your hair or any Chamorro jewelry, island shirts. And then for Fridays, it's Tirow Fridays, where you will wear the mar, the ligatutur, island shirts. And so those are the things that we would like to have.
Okay, so for those of you that have your old island print, I want to see some old island print from the 1980s or the 1970s, If anybody still has those in their closet, grandma or grandpa, bring those out. We want to see those.
Yeah, of course, right? Or I even do have an aunt who still today wears the mestiza, during, when we have parties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's really heartwarming because you don't see that, every day now, right? And so it'd be really nice to have that. Maybe that could be a MVA uniform pretty soon.
Oh my goodness. That's really an intricate, I think one of the things about our culture is like even the food, it takes a lot of time to make it. Our food is not really always quickly made. It's like there's a lot of steps. Making the mestiza, there's a lot of steps, and it's almost like part of our culture is to really take time to do things carefully and well.
Right.
But
the key point to Kat in that is that it takes, a group of people, because, when you prepare food, it's normally never just one person doing it, right? And that's the thing that we want our tourists to be able to feel that, engage with our local community and teach them, how do we make titizas and how do we make, Mars, So those are the things that we would like to see.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because another important part of the program, as I understand, are the values, and it identifies some of the values in the indigenous culture, also shared with many other cultures here that are important. Like you said, the sense of community, which we saw after Typhoon, Sodolor and Typhoon Yutu, and even here during COVID, we see a very strong sense of community and even taking care of the environment. So it's not just doing things, it's like the heart of the people.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely agree with you. We take ownership, in our land, in our seas, and, one day, one day I'm not going to be here, but our children and our children's children are going to be here. And so we want, the future generations to experience what we have experienced as well.
Well, it is Tourism Month, and this program is going to be a great boost for tourists when they come. But where are we now with tourism, if I can ask, and what's on the horizon?
Oh my goodness, Kat. So the month of May, we've had so many activities. We start off with our proclamation for Tourism Month. And every Fridays, we had our staff, the MBA staff, come out for at least 30 minutes and just wave to our community, right? And letting them know that, the power of travel, and tourism is an important factor in the CNMI, as it is our only industry, right? And on top of that, we also had our Walk for Tourism, and I kid you not, I was so surprised that there were so many participants dressed as a tourist.
There were some good costumes there.
Yes, and so, the judges were like even asking me, okay, we have a tie, what do you think? And I said, I don't even want to judge because it is hard for myself. And so it was a really great turnout, and just to, it really showed how the community, supports tourism. And it's not just our community as individuals, but businesses have actually showed up for the walk, which was really, really beautiful. And then also in Tinian, we have the Capture Your Treasure Island in Tinian. And so we've also had great feedback, a lot of submissions on that. Again, going back to the judging, I don't know who's going to judge that, but it's not going to be me because it's very hard. And then the Island of Rhoda, really what they did was we had a group of people, students as well, come out and clean up their beaches. Again, it's going back to protecting and preserving our land, right, and our waters. And so we had a lot of great activities, but one thing that I do want everybody to know is the MVA continues to work so hard on the resumption of tourism, and we absolutely want to do it safely, as we all know that the people in our islands mean a lot to us, just as much as the tourists as well. So safety is a priority. But I don't want to give up too much. I would like for everybody to, just keep alert and be aware of all of the MVA activities, such as our Taste of the Marianas that we're planning, in which unfortunately we weren't able to do that in the month of May, but we will be having that in the upcoming months.
All right. Well, something to look forward to, and I think now would be a good time to extend gratitude to the MVA and all of the tourism industry partners for all you do for our community.
Yes, thank you. This is for everybody, right? Like what we always say at MVA, tourism is everybody's business.
That's right. And so if you are interested in taking the Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge, I understand the MVA and Chamber will be making it available on their website eventually, or at your offices. So you can check with them if you would like more information. Any final thoughts before we go?
All I want to say, thank you, Kat, for having me here. It's such a great pleasure. And I really hope that everybody participates in this Hafa Adai Tirow Pledge program. Until then, adios and deliso, everyone.
We've been chatting today, this half of the show, with MVA Managing Director Priscilla and Iakopo. Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you.
This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.